Imagine you lift a warm caramel latte to your lips. To you, it is a harmless comfort, a small reward at the end of a long day. But deep inside your body, two fist-sized organs are exhaling like exhausted factory workers. These are your kidneys, and they are currently under attack. According to the National Institutes of Health, these stoic guardians process nearly 50 gallons of plasma every single day. To put that into perspective, picture a large bathtub. Your kidneys fill, filter, and drain that entire tub again and again, 24 hours a day, without a single second of rest. In this relentless rhythm, every molecule of sugar you consume becomes a hidden courier, silently increasing a workload that is already at its limit. Medical researchers call this state glomerular hyperfiltration. It is an overclocked response, a desperate survival mode. Your kidneys do not slow down when your blood sugar rises. Instead, they accelerate like an engine pinned to the red line, screaming for relief that never comes. The microscopic membranes within your kidneys behave like delicate woven sieves. But when excess sugar enters the stream, it acts like a thick, adhesive resin, coating those tiny windows and straining the fibers. Here is the most frightening part. Your kidneys are built by evolution to suffer in silence. They do not have the nerves to shout or scream in pain. They simply endure. While you go about your daily routine, unaware of the damage, the invisible screws are tightening. You might feel fine on the surface, but beneath the skin, the screen doors of your filtration system are beginning to tear. Precious proteins are starting to leak away, and your body's foundation is quietly eroding. You won't feel the damage until it is almost too late. This is the paradox of the silent guardian. Their resilience masks their collapse. The first 3 days without sugar arrive like a storm shifting across your nervous system. Your brain, long accustomed to constant hits of glucose, begins to protest loudly. You might feel a dull throb behind your eyes or a wave of unexplained irritability. Researchers call this withdrawal, a metabolic tantrum as your body searches for its old, easy fuel. But while your mind is complaining, a quiet celebration is unfolding deep within your renal landscape. For years, high sugar intake has forced your body to pump out massive amounts of insulin. And here is the hidden connection. Insulin is a master signal that tells your kidneys to hold on to sodium. When your kidneys retain salt, they must also retain water to dilute it. You become a walking reservoir, carrying pounds of unnecessary fluid in your tissues. This is why you feel heavy. This is why you see puffiness in your morning face or swelling around your ankles. Your filtration corridors have been crowded, flooded, and under constant pressure for far too long. Within these first 72 hours, as sugar disappears from your diet, your insulin levels finally begin to plummet. This drop acts like a key turning in a lock. Suddenly, your kidneys receive the long-awaited signal to open the gates. They begin to flush out that hoarded sodium, and the water follows it. You might find yourself visiting the bathroom more frequently during these 3 days. This isn't just a nuisance. It is a biological evacuation. You are not losing fat yet, but you are shedding the internal flood. This rapid loss of fluid is why the scale drops so quickly in the first week. As this excess volume leaves your system, the internal pressure within your delicate nephrons starts to equalize. The metabolic noise begins to fade. Even though your tongue still craves sweetness, you will notice a strange new sensation, a sense of lightness in your limbs, and a clarity in your focus that you haven't felt in years. Your kidneys are finally breathing again, emerging from the flood, and preparing for the deeper repairs that are about to begin. As you move into the second week, the initial storm of withdrawal begins to settle. But beneath the surface, a much deeper and more dangerous chemistry is being revealed. To understand what happens next, we have to look at the sticky truth about glucose. Scientists at the Joslin Diabetes Center describe sugar molecules as inherently restless travelers. When they linger in your bloodstream in excess, they don't just float around. They behave like microscopic drops of hot tar. They begin to latch on to nearby proteins, fusing with them in a process that is essentially irreversible. These corrupted compounds are known as advanced glycation end products, or fittingly, AGEs. Imagine your kidney's filtration membranes as a soft, flexible silk scarf designed to let water through while keeping your precious nutrients safe. When sugar levels are high, these AGEs act like caramel threads hardening across that silk. They turn flexibility into rigidity. They transform your soft, living architecture into something stiff, brittle, and scarred. This is the bitter candy effect. Your internal tissues are literally being glazed in sugar. This stiffening of the glomerular matrix is an emergency signal to your immune system. White blood cells arrive like firefighters to a blaze, but in their rush to help, they create microscopic scars across the very passageways meant for flow. This is the moment of structural failure. Because the filter is now scarred and brittle, it begins to crack. Those microscopic holes, once perfectly sized, stretch wide open. This is why you see albumin, a vital protein that should never leave your body, drifting helplessly into your urine. Stopping sugar by the second week is the only way to stop pouring gasoline on the fire. You cannot undo every scar overnight, but you can instantly halt the production of new tar. You are stopping the glazing process in its tracks. By stabilizing these inflammatory signals, you give your kidneys their first real chance in years to protect what remains. You aren't just changing your diet anymore. You are liberating your internal architecture from the glue that was slowly turning your life-sustaining filters into stone. By the third week, the physical landscape of your body is undergoing a profound transformation. Most people have been taught that salt is the primary villain behind rising blood pressure, but researchers at the University of California have identified a much quieter puppeteer pulling the strings behind the curtain. Sugar. Sugar does more than just rot teeth. It overstimulates your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight mechanism. This trigger causes your heart rate to climb and your blood vessels to constrict. When your insulin levels are constantly spiked by sugar, your kidneys are forced to hoard sodium, which expands your blood volume like a river swelling beyond its banks. When you remove sugar for 21 days, this invisible tension finally begins to snap. The puppeteer lets go of the strings. Your blood vessels regain their elasticity, and the internal pressure within the delicate renal tissues drops. This isn't just a temporary relief. It is a structural reset that allows your kidneys to function as negotiators of balance rather than emergency workers under siege. But the story of sugar's influence doesn't stop at pressure. It reaches into the very chemistry of the fluids passing through you. High sugar intake acts like a chemical catalyst, pushing excessive amounts of calcium into your urine. Imagine a clear, moving stream where sand starts falling from the sky. As the concentration rises, these calcium particles begin to find each other, colliding and bonding into jagged crystals. Clinicians call this the crystal rain. Over time, these microscopic grains gather in the narrowing channels of your kidneys, growing into painful stones that block the flow of life. However, after 3 weeks of sugar-free living, the environment shifts. The rain stops. The concentration of calcium markers in the urine begins to plummet. Your internal stream, once thick with sediment and under high-pressure turbulence, becomes clear and calm. The risk of new stones forming vanishes as the chemical balance stabilizes. By choosing water over soda and whole foods over processed sweets, you are clearing the path for your kidneys to what they do best, maintaining the steady, quiet rhythm of a healthy life. As you cross the 30-day mark, the landscape of your health has fundamentally shifted. This is no longer just a challenge or a temporary experiment. It has become a new way of existing within your own skin. You have moved past the withdrawal, through the flood, and beyond the sticky chemistry of sugar. Now, a deeper transformation begins to take root. While the first month clears the immediate debris, the true structural repair, the kind that shows up on a laboratory blood test, takes time. It is from the second month onward that your filtration efficiency markers, like GFR and creatinine, may begin to show a steady, measurable climb toward health. But staying on this path requires a new kind of vigilance. Sugar is a master of disguise. Even as you avoid the obvious sweets, it hides in the shadows of processed foods, lurking in savory sauces, artisan breads, and low-fat dressings under dozens of different names. It calls itself maltodextrin, high fructose corn syrup, or concentrated fruit juice. Learning to read an ingredient label is like learning to read a map of a minefield. It is the only way to ensure your kidneys remain in this newly discovered safe zone. The most profound shift, however, is not in what you eat, but in how you view yourself. For too long, you may have seen your kidneys as invisible machines, expected to perform perfectly regardless of the fuel you provided. Today, that perspective changes. You begin to see them as ancient, faithful partners, historians that have carried every season of your life with quiet dignity. By choosing to leave sugar behind, you are not depriving yourself of pleasure. You are liberating an architectural masterpiece. You are giving your silent guardians the space they need to breathe, to heal, and to protect you for the decades to come. 30 days was just the opening of the gate. The path ahead is clear, quiet, and full of life.